Hi, you're listening to Jesus Christ That's Funny, the podcast with Pastor Dwayne Black and comedian Ethan Moore about theology, life, and comedy. We broadcast every week from the Sanctuary Church in Fort Lauderdale. And now, it's Jesus Christ That's Funny with Pastor Dwayne and Ethan Moore. Well, hi there, Pastor Dwayne. How you doing?
Hey, how are you doing? Nice to see you, man.
Good to see you, too.
Yeah.
I'm here with you in the inner sanctum.
You are. Again, one more time. Ethan,
once
right
more,
here.
From the Presbyterian Church in Fort Lauderdale. And you've been talking to my mom at the other Presbyterian Church in Lutz.
She instant messaged me, and then she friended me on Facebook, and we've been talking a little bit, going back and forth. We had coffee this morning talking. It was just kind of nice, you know.
You had coffee
early. I didn't
remotely.
Know that. Yeah.
You weren't actually
right,
there.
Absolutely right. Yes,
Skype
exactly.
coffee.
We Skyped coffee. Yeah.
Nice. She does get up very early. She always has.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. It was like right all of a sudden, boom, right there.
You get up early also?
Unluckily, yes. Yeah.
Really? What time do you get up?
About 6:30.
Oh, my mom has already been up for an hour and a half by
No
then.
way.
She gets up at like 5:30.
Oh.
When I was younger, she would always be up that early, like reading the Bible, which her father, the minister in Atlanta, always did.
Really? That early?
Super
huh?
early, yeah, early to rise.
Well, she liked
those piles.
She liked our theology. She said that's a good, nice, liberal theology.
Well, you know, my mom's with her father there at the Independent Baptist in church in Atlanta. There.
What kind of church is that? Independent Baptist.
Independent Fundamentalist Baptist. It's basically like, I think I said this on an earlier episode. It's they think that the Southern Baptist Convention are rabid liberals. So
that's so scary.
Second degree separation. You know what that is?
Yes.
Right. It's when it's for our listeners. What is that?
Go ahead.
If I'm remembering right, it's basically like if someone seems to believe in a doctrine outside the church, then which could be like, in this case, maybe like the fact that you could drink alcohol or have sex outside of marriage, or, you know, maybe you have a different interpretation of the age of the earth, right. Things like that. Then, you know, you would separate from that person and people who associate with them.
Yes.
Also, which really kind of leaves you pretty far alone on that little hermitage.
It is.
On that mountaintop.
And what does that have to do with Christianity at all? I mean, really.
I think Jesus was all about splitting people up and,
that's right.
You know,
right.
getting distances as far apart from people, you know.
Oh, you believe that? No, you're out of here. You're out of here. Next, out of here.
Yeah, it was bizarre. But they, you know, they looked at it as the world is evil, you know, and we're in the world but not of it. And it's important for us to maintain theologically and doctrinally and in terms of our living style, all these things, a separateness, you know. But
you know, I think there's a disagreement there because there's this understanding that I believe that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and I think that people that are on that other side believe that we are humans having a spiritual experience, and I think there's a big difference between that.
Well, I think you're right, but I don't know which council of, you know, whether it was like Nicaea or Trent, or they probably would have some bones to pick with you. What are you trying to say? You know, you're trying to say you're God? No. I'm trying
to say we're looking at it a different way. I think a lot of times we lose the awe and wonder in the world, you know, and that's we want to have a doctrine for this and this and this and this and this. And it's like, you know, part of this is a mystery. You know, a big part of it is a mystery.
I think it's important to remember that side of things. Well, the thing about, you know, that brand of Protestant fundamentalism, which I am so familiar with, having been raised with it from youth, is that it has this sense that we've figured it out.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Like it's like we've got the exact words from God, and the meaning's very clear. like in the King James version is pretty good. They're like no, it is that's not the inspired. They would say that's not inspired. The King James version.
They would say it is. God faxed this down. We emailed it directly.
But in Greek and Hebrew.
And
then so translations are fine. Some people are actually dogmatic about the King James.
Yeah, I know.
And they never were. That was one thing they emphasized to us when I was a kid. They were like, we're not those crazy people who believe that the King James version is the only good version. Any version can be good as long as it comes from the original thing. But you have to remember that it's the original meaning and the plain sense meaning of the text.
And that's where I would start to probably disagree or push back.
Well, and so would any philologist or linguist or sociologist or anthropologist. Right, I mean, anyone who's understands the concept of hermeneutics and interpretation and the fact that as human beings we're the language that we all use and the thoughts that we think, which are in language, which is really weird if you think about that, are constantly in flux. Right. They're always changing. Right. So the plain sense of a sentence in 1960 might be a lot different from the plain sense in 2015.
Absolutely.
And then not to mention going back 2,000 years or something like that.
Right.
So and then in another language, so it gets
idioms that are involved. Yeah.
Right. One of the big revelations to me when I got to college and graduate school and started studying this stuff academically was that a lot of the ancient texts, which I had been told were meant to be interpreted literally, were actually political tracts.
Yes. In
the vein of a genre of literature called apocalyptic.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. Can't say certain things about the Roman Empire or I don't know, the Babylonians or whoever it was they were angry with that century, and so they just kind of took pen to paper and got some of their anger out, and they said we need to have a regime change or whatever that was, and then they used but it's like, oh well, we're not saying that. It's just like angels are coming down and destroying the evildoers and stuff like that, and that's all fine. Because it's like, well, let the Jewish sect here have their holy texts. That's outside our as long as we keep working them like dogs, then we're fine.
Exactly. Just keep going. Yeah. That's
So the pharaohs and the I don't know, the kings of Babylon and then the Romans and all that stuff, they sort of were none the wiser, I guess.
No, and I think that I did a series one time on Revelation because it was one of those things that people always got. They're so messed up on understanding what that's about.
The Apocalypse of John.
The Apocalypse of John, yes. And there are just, and that's a whole other podcast someday that we can talk about. But
the Revelation?
Yeah. Oh, yes, because it's there are so many parts and pieces to it that actually, the sad thing is that if you insert history onto that at that time, you start to understand exactly what John was talking about, and you kind of go, wait. This is about then. This is about right at that point and what was going on.
Right. Was that when the temple is being destroyed and that sort of thing?
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's right. It's at that point. Yeah. Well, what's really funny too is that so it's like I hear like stand-up comics, when I do comedy and I go out to mics and open mics and see comedians, and you hear people in popular culture. I hear stand-up comedians do this where they're like, they sort of take it literally too, and they're like, "How stupid! Who could believe in this stuff?" Who would want to believe that there's mystical dragons coming out of the sea and all? Like who are these idiot Christians? And I'm like, well, you're sort of missing the point.
You're missing the history of it, but yeah.
I mean, the problem in there, of course, is that it's the kind of Christians that I grew up with just rose right to that bait. They're like, yeah, we do believe that. Go ahead and make fun of us and enjoy hell. We'll see you right there.
And there's no butter in hell.
Is that true?
Yeah. No, I don't know.
No butter?
Yeah.
That would be an infernal situation, wouldn't it?
Yeah, just burn. So
even if there is butter, it probably catches on fire.
So do you believe in hell?
No, I don't. Well, I do. Actually, no, that's true. That's not true. I do believe in hell because I think that hell, is something that... okay, so the mind is a very dark place, Pastor. We can create it, you
right
know?
within us
I think
right now. Here.
I think that, yeah, we can create it here on earth. And I think that, of course, you could talk about like, like things like, I don't know, like death camps and things like that, you know, and maybe there's sort of a literal hell on earth there. But the way I look at it is, you know, when you become imprisoned in your own mind and you can't experience joy.
Right.
And I've had times in my life that were very dark, and where it doesn't matter what the external reality is. You know, it could be, you know, you could be at a beautiful park on a summer's day and surrounded by loved ones, and you're in hell. You're
absolutely.
You hate everything, and you can't imagine what joy is like. And I think that's hell.
That's a pretty dark place to be.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
And then conversely, you might be. There's been times in my life where I've been like, materially, externally, you know, very, you know, what you would think of as a bad situation, you know, no money, no job, no prospects, that sort of thing, and yet like full of joy and looking at the world as a wonderful place. So, and that's the insights I have from those sort of extreme experiences that have happened at different points in my life is that external reality is a lot less important than the meanings and the patterns that we use to interpret it, which are inside our own minds and souls and spirits, or however you want to look at that. And
when you say the word joy, what do you really mean? What is that? How does that flush out?
This is like becoming like a Scientology, you know, e-meter session. You're like auditing me. I in which of my past lives? That's what I want to know. Yeah. I guess joy. You know, I used to think that kind of pleasure or something like that was just the absence of pain. You know,
right.
Now I think that joy is, I guess, gratitude for being able to be involved in relationships with other people, or something like that. I don't know how else to define it. It's probably something like that, like really having a moment of gratitude where you're like, well, this is so fantastic that I can participate in, you know, the world.
Right.
You know, so like it could be something that's not even another human being. Like maybe you're sitting in that park and the sunlight's hitting your skin and the wind's blowing and you feel like the sensation of your body in the world is a wonderful thing. Or it could be, you're with your loved ones and they are, they're around you and you're grateful for them and for your good relationships. Or maybe you're hanging out with your friends, you know, or maybe all of these different things. Or maybe you're just meditating and you've uncovered some kind of you've found a way into that connection, which maybe feels more abstract and more general, like you're connecting with everyone and everything,
right?
You know, and then that's like, oh, maybe that's God or something like that. So I think all those things, but I think the commonality and all those experiences of joy would probably have to do with gratitude and then relationships. Gratitude,
yeah. That's very interesting because I think a lot of times the idea of joy, when you start thinking about it, and the image that you use of meditating outside and starting to feel the breeze and you feel the sun on your face and you've been out there before and you didn't feel those things. You weren't in tune to those things. And all of a sudden you start to feel it and you start to think, yes, I am in connection with all things here.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's true. There's actually been times when I've meditated and then I've gone outside and then like I'm just like rubbing like the grass with my hand or like a tree trunk or something and like, wow, this is great. The only other times when in my life would be like maybe many, many years ago, when I took like a powerful hallucinogenic drug or something like that. I won't say which one. It was a long time ago. It was part of a religious ceremony. And had some experiences like that. But I think it certainly can come from lots of different places. Yeah, no,
I mean, I did some lessons one time where we took photographs. I mean, really, really close up photographs of flowers, like just the reds, the beautiful, and you put them on the screens, and you gave people the chance to just look at them, You know, I mean, we kind of go through life in this like fast pace, and when we meditate or when you pray or whatever that is, it slows it down so that you start actually looking at the leaves and looking at how the light hits them. And suddenly you start to go, wow, this world that we're living in is absolutely incredible. You know, it's absolutely unbelievable. And when you start to do that, that's part of what I think you start to understand or feel God within you. You start to, you know.
I think so. It's that's what's so amazing about that is that it really could be heaven or it could be hell. It's dependent on the observer.
Yeah,
I guess.
But I mean, there are times and things that I've done that I felt farther away. I had a friend of mine who's a minister who is an alcoholic, and he said that when he drank, it pulled him more and more away from God. He said, it numbed me to the experience of the world. And he said, and I believe deeply that God wants me to be connected into the world.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, and we can, there's lots of ways that people anesthetize themselves, you know?
Well, and I think that sometimes, sad to say, some forms of Christianity anesthetize themselves to the experience of the mystery of it, trying to fill in all the, no, we have an answer for that. We have an answer for that. No, got an answer for that. There's a mystery. There's a part of it that you just say, I don't know, but it's really, I don't know why those green leaves outside there are sparkling in the sunlight, but it is beautiful.
Right. No, it's true. It's true. That's something that I still, need to learn to appreciate in my own life, because I have this very strong tendency to want to nail things down.
Really?
So I want to take that mystery and that beautiful sparklingness and just put it in a little handkerchief and fold it up and keep it in my pocket so I can enjoy it whenever I like. So that's coming to play in my life in a lot of different ways. But like, for example, with a relationship,
Yeah.
Like I was telling you about just some relationship issues I've been having. It's just so many girls, want to be with me, Pastor. I just can't, keep track.
Man.
It's just so rough. No.
What a cross you're bearing.
Right. No, but like what happens is just, but seriously, folks, what happens is, so let's say I meet a girl and I enjoy my time with her. Then
what do you mean by enjoy your time with her?
Well, it could be spending time, it could be sexual, it could be lots of different things. But let's just say like
laughing.
Yeah. I mean, usually for me it's, there's a lot of dimensions to it.
Right.
I would say.
Right. Yeah.
I'm a pretty complicated guy.
Yeah, right. Okay.
No, that's bad actually, by the way, if you're not.
Is that
listening.
not good, really?
It's better if you're simpler, I think. I think you're happier, a lot easier. Yeah. The blade of grass is the simplest thing.
Isn't
just needs sunlight and water,
Yeah.
If we could all be that simple.
But it takes 1,000,000 atoms laid side by side by side by side to be the same width as a single hair. So it is complicated. It is complicated.
In other words, there's a lot of complexity underlying that simple.
But it's even more mind-blowing
or something like
that.
Yeah,
so you have relationships, and they're probably complicated relationships too.
They are, but so what I'm saying is that like sometimes, so if I have if I enjoy my time with let's just say a lady, then I have a tendency to want to analyze why.
Right.
And then actually the reason that I find myself doing that, I know, is that because I have. I have flaws, and one of my flaws is that I want to be able to control things, and be able to control the outcomes of things and manipulate things. So it's like I want to be able to say, well, I had a good time for this reason. How can I take that information and distill a good time out of future relationships or with this person or with someone else? How can I find out how to get exactly what I want and what I need every time, all the time?
That's really, really interesting.
Unhealthy. Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to say unhealthy. You said interesting. So that's what I want to do, So then, back to what you said, just being able to take it slow, enjoy the moment,
Right.
Right. That's the key for me, and enjoy the mystery.
Right.
So in other words, instead of saying, "Oh, well, why is this person? Why am I so attracted to this person, and why am I having such a good time? And how can I manipulate this person to spending more time with me? And how can I figure out what it is about her, and then distill that, and then get it to work in every relationship? I should just say, well, this is great. This is a nice time.
Experience the moment. Yeah.
Someone very wise, a friend of mine, said to me, Ethan, what you should do. Just look at each time you spend with someone who you're having a good time with. Look at that as a little bubble.
Yeah.
And you have a good time there, and then it fades away, and maybe you'll have another one, and maybe you won't. But don't try to go back and recreate that same bubble. It's going to be different every time because you're different every time.
Right.
We as human beings are constantly in flux. There's no real me that stays the same all the time.
No, you change.
We all change. That's an insight of like things like Buddhism, but probably also, neurobiology, and you could probably find some. You could open up one of these theology books, I'm sure, Pastor, and find something similar. Heraclitus.
Yes.
There you go. The Greek philosopher. He said you can never step your foot into the same river twice, right? So. Flux is everything. The only thing constant is change. Flux is the nature of reality and the nature of humanity.
So why are you afraid of change?
Well, because I seek to control and manipulate and control reality. And I want to be able to experience things the way I want to experience them all the time. So this is like one of the challenges that I have as a human being.
Would you get bored with that after a while?
Of course. Whenever I'm able to do this. Right? In a limited fashion, I get immediately bored. See? So we were talking about hell. Remember that?
That's right, exactly.
It's just right inside my mind. It's only one layer deep tonight, too.
Man.
That's just right there.
Oh, that's just terrifying.
It really is. Oh, my God. Oh. Yeah. Jesus Christ, that's not funny. I don't...
Well, I have people that want to do logos for us.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I drew a logo today on a pad of paper.
Really?
I'll show it to you just to see what you think, because I just wanted to get something so we can get this up on iTunes.
Yeah, and because I'm really pumped about the idea of doing T-shirts, too.
I am, too. I think that'll be great. My mom posted on Facebook. You were talking to her earlier, but she had posted on my Facebook, hey, how come I can't get this on the on iTunes or on the app? And it's because it's not on iTunes yet, but we're going to, as soon as we have the logo, it'll go up on iTunes. We can do it right away. So
that'll be really cool. Yeah,
that will be cool.
Wait.
Yeah, I'm not so sure if I want this episode to go up on iTunes. It's just all my darkest
I think so. No, but this is good. This is good. Yeah.
It is good. It is good.
I think you're being pretty honest with all these people listening.
Yes, all the we have tens.
Yeah, that's right.
Tens
outside.
of people listening. Oh, outside.
Outside banging on the door.
We have a few people listening.
We do.
There's my mom.
Well, you know what? I've had a bunch of people contact me from up north, and they were going, I listened. It really sounds good. Keep it up. Make it funny.
Oh, it's got to be funnier?
Yeah, they said it was fun. Yeah, they said make it funny. I said, well, I think that's Ethan's job.
Right.
Yeah, he's got to make it funny.
We're trying to grow into that name.
That's right.
It's an aspirational name, It was big on the Jesus Christ, not so much on the funny. That's the problem. Right, this episode is just me ranting into the microphone about my psychological problems. I'm not sure if that's funny. Well, honesty is funny sometimes,
Honesty is always good.
It's usually good. It's where the reason that I'm saying all this stuff, I guess, is because I've just sort of, as a comedian, you kind of just learn to do it,
right?
But then the problem is that you worry about it becoming too self-indulgent.
Yeah.
Like if I'm just going up on the microphone and talking about like the darkest details of my personal life.
Lenny Bruce type of...
Yeah, like at a certain point, Lenny Bruce becomes almost like a tragic joke.
Yeah.
Or a caricature of himself or something, where he's just reading his court transcripts into the microphone at comedy clubs for 45 minutes, and you're like, this isn't... What? Where's the jokes? What happened to take my wife, please?
Yeah, right.
That's what you want.
Okay, so I heard one joke.
Do we have a joke?
Do I tell you? Can I tell it?
Oh, tell a joke,
sure?
please. Yeah, come.
No, I mean,
hurry
I don't
up.
know if it's good or not.
We need.
Yeah. Okay.
Tell two.
Okay. So there's these two older women, and they die, and they go to heaven. And when they get there, Peter is there at the gate, and St. Peter and Peter says to them, listen, just one thing to tell you. If you want to really do well here, don't step on any ducks. And they go, okay, got it. Well, about a week goes by, and one of the ladies steps on a duck. They're squealing and quacking around. St. Peter comes back, and he handcuffs this older, not a handsome, just very, very, very bad-looking guy to her for eternity.
Wow, it's a long time.
Goes on a couple of weeks. The other lady is just walking around, looking at her, watching her walk with this guy, and all of a sudden she hears a squeak. And St. Peter appears, and he handcuffs this beautiful, handsome man to her hand. And she goes, St. Peter, I don't know what I did. And the beautiful, handsome man said, I stepped on a duck. I know, it was a long way around the corner. Okay,
it's a long road for that pastor. Why duck? Why
I don't know.
That's
people tell me these jokes.
Groucho Marx's autobiography.
Yeah.
Why a duck?
No,
I want to know.
I know. I like Groucho Marx, and I know every one of their films. Everyone.
Are you challenging me? You're like, yeah. Tell me. Tell me.
Come on.
I don't know what to say about that. What was their first movie they did?
I don't know.
I think it was maybe Coconuts or maybe Monkey Business.
Monkey Business, probably.
Maybe.
Yeah. It was with Zeppo in it, and
that vaudeville stuff.
Yeah, that whole thing.
That was good stuff. Me and my brothers and sisters used to like that. That was one of those things where it was connected across, all three generations.
Right.
Like my grandfather liked it, my father liked it, and me and my brothers and sisters liked it.
I went to a Jewish high school, so when there were Jewish holidays, I was the token Gentile. And so they would show Marx Brothers films for me.
For you?
For me, because I was the only one there.
Wait. What? Oh, you mean you went to the Jewish high school and then on the Jewish holiday?
When everybody else was gone, I was there. And
you were watching
Marx Brothers
Jewish
film.
comedians.
Yeah. Doesn't that work right? It sounds right, doesn't it?
It kind of does.
It does in some.
Although shouldn't Groucho and Zeppo and Harpo and Chico be with the family during the high holidays?
They probably should. But they just didn't know what to do with me. They were like, okay, you're here. Here we go.
Wow, there you go. So that's good stuff. That's that old, that Groucho. He always had that rapid fire stuff.
Oh, it was good. Yeah, it was very good
with the quips.
Yeah.
The insults and stuff like that.
So what do you think? I had somebody ask me this the other day. They said, "What's the difference between knowledge and knowing?" Knowledge and knowing.
You're asking me to dissect just the plain sense of that?
Yeah.
I guess, something can become an object of knowledge,
Okay.
And then you can put it in your pocket, like my desire to put the, good feelings I have in
Right.
a relationship in my pocket and be able to have them whenever I want. My misdirected desire there.
So every girl you're dating right now is going, is he talking about me?
I know, right? It's funny. There are a lot more than one. They're not listening. No one's listening.
Yeah. You're going to be talking about this later.
Well, this won't air for 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So by then I'll be able to, have some plausible deniability on the timeline. I'll be like, oh, we recorded that months ago. I don't even know. Yeah. Okay. So knowledge, something can become an object of knowledge, and then you sort of can hold on to it. You can put it in a book, or
right.
You can put it in a corner of your mind and pull it out later when you need some
knowledge,
some trivia, or some knowledge or whatever.
But knowing,
I guess, to me in English, that's the connotation and the denotation are a lot broader,
right?
Because what you could be saying is that you know someone else, you know their heart, you know their soul, so you're in a relationship. Or you could be saying that you know a piece of knowledge, Or you could be saying that you know. Maybe those are the only two important senses. I don't know. I was going to say like, how to do something,
Right.
or something like, something like that. But maybe you could say that's
Yeah.
under knowledge. But you could know. Okay. No, that's a separate category, because you could actually know something that would normally be categorized as experience. So in other words, there are things that you have knowledge of. Like, let's say I have knowledge of how to tell jokes, but I've never
Right.
done it before.
Right.
Right? That's not the same as if I say I know how to tell jokes.
Right.
That means I actually
Absolutely.
can do it. I have the experience.
You've experienced it. You've chewed on it. You've bent it.
Right.
You've twisted it. It's part of you. It's
Yeah, I have practice doing it.
yeah.
Right.
Right.
And then once again, it's very different to say that I have knowledge of Pastor Dwayne.
Right.
I know of him, and to say I know him, oh, he's a friend of mine. Oh, we talk. We have a podcast.
Right.
We talk about the intimate details of my sexual relationships on a public forum. That's a very different thing that we're talking about there, Pastor.
So I know.
So that's about all the time we have for.
Oh, that was very good, man. Very good.
Did I answer correctly?
Yep.
Do we need a right buzzer or a wrong buzzer there? No. What do
that
you
was
think
good.
about that question? You're asking me all these questions.
Well, no, I mean, I just, I get those questions like that asked to me all the time. And so it's kind of like, it's nice to have somebody else to play it off. Knowledge is, I feel like there's a lot of knowledge in this world. When I go, where was Tom Petty born? I can Google it, and that's knowledge.
Smartphone.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, right. I mean, so I can get a lot of knowledge that way. But the idea of really knowing something, there's an essence to knowing something. That means I have questions, I've chewed on it, I've worked through it, and maybe even though I don't know the answer, but I know the question at a deeper level. I think
Right.
and I don't think that exists as deeply in our world as it should, because I think that's part of, like we were talking about earlier, that I got all the answers, boom, 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 here they are, but
Right.
not really ever chewing on. I mean, the idea that you have people that say, the Earth is only this old, and you're like, well, no, there's no way that the Earth is older and older than that. And then you start saying to them, but wait, let's think about the Big Bang. How can you not, that this explosion of elements all in particles explode at one time, and everything that we see today, the shirt that you're wearing, the computer that you've got here, everything was in that explosion.
Right.
How do you not have wonder? How do you not have and that's part of, chewing on things, thinking about them, questioning them, and how can you not do that with theology? How can you not do that with life? How can you not do that with relationships? What makes it so good? Why does this person excite me so much? What is it about that? And then somewhere you kind of say, I don't know, there's a mystery.
Well, that's in the relationship. Sometimes they say it should be more mystery, less history. Right? So maybe that's an important rule too.
That's good. Yeah.
No, I think it's true. It's back to that. Look, relationships for me are the only thing. It's really the only thing I think that's real.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
In what way? Multiple, because I know you have lots and lots of relationships, not just with women, but in other people.
Well, I think when I was younger, I looked at the world as, maybe as just kind of literally real,
Right.
in the sense that, the things that I perceived through my senses were actually real things,
Right.
and also the values that I perceived were from a real authority. So in other words, like more like commandments or moral values are like, you need to do this or you need to do that.
Right.
Moral values,
Right.
these are actually real things from God, something like that. And, this is really a table, this is really a chair, I'm really a person, whatever, these are real things. And there's really something called a Republican and something called a Chinese person and whatever, you know what I mean? Like all these things are real.
Plato would disagree with you.
Well,
Aristotle would disagree with you.
Well, yes, but when I was younger, I thought that maybe, and I actually think that a lot of people still look at the world that way.
Yeah.
And what happened to me is that I went through a very nihilistic phase where I rejected all of those things, and I said, actually, nothing's real.
Right.
The only thing that's real is the only thing that I can't deny that must be real to me is the sensation of like pleasure or pain. That seems to be real because it's undeniable in the moment of it. You know, it's sort of an existential truth, right? And then when I look at when I was in that phase of my life, which I was very unhappy when I was in that phase.
You were in a hell of a sort.
In a way. I mean, not all the time. I didn't experience things as bad all the time. I was actually, fortunately, I had good parents, and I was pretty well adjusted in a lot of different ways and pretty functional. But sort of spiritually or overall, I had this sense of kind of meaninglessness of things, you know. And the only thing that I felt like was, so I felt like in that, like I said, the only thing that's real is pleasure and pain. If you look at the world that way, then and there's no such thing as absolute truth. There is no the perceptions that the things that we perceive through our senses are not real at all.
Right.
We're just on a rock hurtling through space at whatever it is.
Which is incredible, right there.
It is 50,000 miles a second or whatever it is. I don't know.
Slightly tilted.
Right. Right. Yes, that's right. Speeding through the galaxy on a destination from nowhere to nowhere. Would have been how I would have put it back then. And so
you're probably just a joy to be around.
I know.
At that time,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Guys in their mid-20s with aspirations of intellectualism. Great. Bring them to parties. Good dinner party guest.
He's depressed me, man. Beyond belief.
Oh my God,
I'm so depressed.
It's no wonder anyone hung out with me back then. Anyway, and also the other thing about that is that moral values. I think I looked at moral values as a manipulation. The point of moral values is so that people can manipulate you into decreasing their pain and increasing their pleasure, right? And so anyone who this is very Nietzschean, anyone who believes in moral values as a sap, I guess would be the word. Right. This is what he called slave morality, all that stuff. And then, but the way that I look at things now, thank God, it's changed a little bit, is that because I'm actually really happy to be alive. I think everything's great these days. It sounded like I was being sarcastic in my own.
No, I really.
But anyone listening, I really am a happy guy. Okay, so I'm protesting too much now. No one's going to believe it at all.
No one's going to believe you. Yeah.
Right. Okay,
he's rolling his eyes.
So in the final phase, or the phase that I feel like I'm in now, I think that moral value. Okay, so wait, where did I go? Oh. The things that I perceive through my senses, still not real.
Right.
I actually don't think that anything is really real in the sense that, we actually perceive reality, right? We perceive through a glass darkly, as Paul said. We perceive through our senses, and our senses are imperfect. We're just creating a model of the world in our minds, which is that same model we use to survive, and it's evolved over all these years. So I don't think that actually, like, people, things, whatever, I don't think those are real. The only thing that I think is real is relationships and the connections in between things, in between people. So I think, and I have that, and that I almost go on faith on that, just like sort of experience. Like it feels real. Those things feel real to me, and everything else, I realize I can easily doubt. I can easily call into question. And because I now have it as an object of knowledge, or whatever, if you want to put it that way, that relationships are real, I understand the importance of moral values and principles. And I think the purpose of them is to preserve and protect our relationships.
Right.
That's why it's important to live according to some sort of principles, I think, is that if you don't, then you risk going off on your own and doing what you think will feel good and what you want, and thereby damaging your relationships with your relationship with yourself, with other people around you, with God, if you want to look at it that way. So now go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. It's you talked earlier about this idea of joy, and you kind of skirted around some of the things that are that bring you joy. And I would bet one of the things that bring you joy is paying things forward by helping other people. That there is a joy within that, because I see you kind of interact with people around here and I see that there is a sense of like taking care, watching over. That grace, joy, gratitude, they're all kind of in the same thing, and that helps fulfill you and your relationship to God or your understanding of God.
I think that makes sense. I think it's also important to try to be of service to other people, because I recognize that that's an important value, just to keep it really simple.
Right.
So
yeah.
I think that's important. And then I find that when I do that, I think about myself less, and I worry about myself less, and I feel more connected to people.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where I don't think there's a direct correlation. It's not like, oh, I'm of service and now I get an immediate benefit. It's just that over time, it's that mysterious thing, in relationships is if I give of myself, it turns out that I have better relationships,
that's
in unexpected ways.
That's big,
in ways I
right
can't
there.
explain,
That's massive right there.
So an important value or principle is to get outside yourself. For me, to get outside myself.
I know most people that come and they're going like, my life sucks, everything's really terrible, this is really bad, and it's like, let's come with me, we're going to go to a homeless shelter and we're going to feed people.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh no, I don't really want to do that. And you say, no, I need you to do it. Every one of them ends up at the end going, I got more out of that than I gave. That was exactly what I needed.
It's also from my experience, so here's another object of knowledge,
yes.
right, that I've attained, is that it strikes me that all of the people I know that I think are like genuinely happy, joyful people, they have that in common.
They do.
It's the only thing they have in common also, is that they actually are willing to sort of just selflessly give of themselves. And sometimes you look at them and you're like, wow, this guy's kind of like, he's going overboard with this. This guy's a doormat, or something like that. But you know what? He's happier than you sometimes. If that's what I find. So
I had a kid that we used to take this group of kids to this homeless shelter to feed, and I used to always tell them, you have to stay in twos because it's just you dealing with people that a lot of times have mental illness issues, so it's safety. And so one of the kids, he wanders outside and he goes outside the fence. And so some other kid comes and tells me, he says, Ben is outside, man, and he's sitting there with some of the homeless guys by himself. And I walk outside and I'm really ready to kind of give him the, like, can't do this, And I'm listening to him and he's talking to this guy. And the homeless guy says to him, man, those are really nice tennis shoes. And Benjamin goes, yeah, man, they're really great. They're like $150. He said, those are great. And he said, my shoes are worn out. He said, Ben says to the kid, so why don't you go buy shoes? It's like, I don't have any money, And Ben takes his shoes off and gives them to the guy. And the homeless guy gives Ben his old shoes. And Ben puts them on and he runs to get me. And didn't know that I was right around the corner. He runs right into me. And he goes, Dwayne, I gave this guy my shoes and I've got his shoes and I can feel his pain.
Wow.
and that, I mean, it changed part of his life.
It's a great story.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
What a great experience.
Yeah. And so, this idea of giving, this generosity, this, knowing that, you're giving and there's no need and there's no way this person's going to be able to repay you. There's something there's something happens in between people, The same time we were at the shelter, this guy comes up and he said, thank you guys for the food. Really, thank you. I said, that's terrific. And he said, hey, do you know what a homeless person sees right before they go to sleep? And we're like, no, got no idea. And he goes, the face of the last person who was nice to him. And so tonight, I will see your faces.
Wow. That's, wow.
Isn't that cool?
That is cool. Yeah.
Neat stuff.
Definitely. So, just get out there and give something away.
Give it away.
Give
it away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's really true.
It is.
All right. Well, this is a long episode.
It was.
It turns out.
Yeah, we did good.
But I think we covered a lot of good ground. Yeah.
And I like your Nirvana shirt. Very nice.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Good.
My, speaking of high school, right? Speaking of me being an angsty teenager and young man, wearing a Nirvana shirt. Okay, so if you want to contact us,
right,
then please write us. You can write us at jesuschristthat'sfunny@gmail.com.
That's right. Or if you have some idea for a logo, send it to us.
That would be great. Yeah, we would love to. We'd love to hear from you in any capacity. And don't forget to listen to the podcast. It's at jesuschristthat'sfunny.podbean.com. Hit comment on it and hit share to Facebook.
Right.
We want to get it out there. So it's free, but just spread the word. Share it around so people can listen to it.
Very good. Very good.
And what about the church's website? You want to give that out?
Yeah, the church's website is it's called sanctuarychurchftl.org. Sanctuarychurchftl.org. And come on and see some of the things that we're doing here and what's going on and how we're trying to help change the world. Join the revolution.
Join the revolution. All right, so that wraps it up for this episode of Jesus Christ That's Funny. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
And God bless.
God bless.